Hi, folks. My name is Bob Brucker. I'm the founder and president of AgeWise Colorado, and Barbara Boyer is our executive director. So, hey, Barbara. First thing, this is our 45th webinar that we've done since we started doing webinars, which was 2.5 years ago. So we kind of average about 2 a month, and they have covered a very wide variety of topics. And all of them have been recorded. They're all on our website, and they're also on our YouTube channel. And several of the webinars that we've done have been translated into Spanish as well. I would ask everybody, if you're not a presenter, to please mute and have your camera off. Questions are encouraged. You can put those in the chat. We'll probably have some time for verbal questions after we have our presenters present. And please remember that we're providing an essential service here to the people of Colorado. And so if you feel compelled, a donation is always welcome. The last year, there were 3 separate studies done by folks that we had absolutely nothing to do with. And they all came back with an answer that said older adults want better access to a place where they can find resources, information, and education for aging in the state of Colorado. And so that's exactly what we're doing. Today's panelists, well, I'll be introducing them again here in a moment. Amy Larchick, Marc Agins, and Jill Yasskin. These are the short bios. The longer ones are on another slide. The little bit about AgeWise Colorado is a primary thing I want everybody to understand is what our mission is. And our mission is really simple, and that's to connect at no cost all older Coloradans and their families. So to reliable, helpful services, products, information, assistance, education to help the 3 million people over the age of Colorado, over the age of 40 rather, to navigate the aging journey here in Colorado. So we are the connecting point between those 3 million people and what we estimate to be 3,000 service providers across the state. We currently have about 400 on our website, and it's a good mix of government agencies, nonprofits, and for-profits, all working for the same goal. This is simply a snapshot from our homepage. So if you haven't been on our website, please check it out. We're kind of through these webinars, but you can see the ones that have been done. These 3 have all been recorded and put up on our website. And they've also all been translated into Spanish as well. And we have another one coming up in a couple of weeks. And one that's not on here that we're doing joint with a little help is focused on tax preparation. I'll go back and introduce Amy Larchick. So Amy is the owner of Life Caddie and has worked in the 55 and older community for over 20 years and holds a BA in speech language pathology and audiology, and has also worked as a certified nurse assistant. Amy and the Life Caddie's team mission is to allow adults to thrive in their own living space and through life's many transitions, to be the trusted professionals who help organize the home and lives of adults with judgment-free delivery of service. And Amy has been through this whole process with her family members, and I'm sure she's going to be talking more about that. So with that, I'm going to turn this over to you, Amy, and we're happy to hear what you have to say and learn more about that. Thank you.
Good morning or good afternoon almost. Yes, like you said, I'm Amy. I am with Life Caddie, and we are professional organizers. We help people organize their belongings in their home and in their home items, but we also help people organize their lives. So whether that be with your schedule or with your calendar or your email, we help people organize everything. that their lives require. And that's where we got the name from, is Life Caddie, because we like to think of ourselves as your caddy, where we guide you through the course of your life. So the idea of this presentation was to talk about decluttering. And so I would like to kind of do a presentation, but I'm not great at doing the presentation and sharing. So let's see if I can share my screen here.
You're sharing.
Yay. Okay, so decluttering. Decluttering kind of means something different for everyone. So I kind of just picked out a few areas that some people struggle with. And the first one is, I'm just going to jump into it instead of going over the agenda, because I want to make sure I have enough time. First one that I noticed everyone struggling with, which is, it seems like the easiest one but when people call me into their homes, they have me look at every room and they walk me through the rooms and they say, this area needs to be decluttered, this area needs to be decluttered, and this one needs to be organized, and you don't know where to start. And it's always very overwhelming for the client. And so that's kind of where I come in and I say, hey, wait a minute, let's just start with just one area and stick with putting things into categories. So every room could be different in terms of categories. So I picked out here just like the kitchen, where you would just focus on putting things into categories first, like the dishes, the laundry, the trash, and just focus on one section and not be overwhelmed with the entire house. And that's usually my first tip that I give, because everyone seems overwhelmed and they want to go everywhere and try to categorize and sort every room. It's usually not the best approach to do that, and I wouldn't recommend it. Another area that I see people struggling with is their wardrobe. And I feel like people really try to keep too much. And they don't know where to start. The same with looking at the entire house, is they don't know where to start. And so there's a couple of tricks that you can do to make it a little easier to see the areas that you use all the time. So one trick is to take your clothes off the hanger, and when you put them back, you put them backwards, and then you know that that's an item that you use often. And so I would encourage you to focus on the items in the area that you don't visit, the least visit section in your closet. And for me, like my go-to section is always like, as soon as I open the door, there's this section that I go to that I put clothes in and I take clothes out. And it's my favorite spot. But behind the door is where I rarely visit. And I know that that's like going to be an easy section to tackle. And so I recommend going to the least visited spot in your closet and removing those items from maybe behind the door where you don't visit, and removing them. And then asking yourself some questions of whether you use those items. Do they no longer fit? Are they damaged? Or simply, do they not align with your style anymore? And I would encourage you to, if those questions are answered and you don't use them anymore, then I would encourage you to donate those items. This is something everybody could do, but rarely we do, and rarely everybody does. And so it's an easy way to clean out your closet quickly. Another area that I've noticed when I walk into a home is that they have all these horizontal spaces, like a table or a coffee table, and they're always really full, and they're rarely using their horizontal space, like their walls. And so I would recommend that you maybe add a shelf to your area, that's an area that you like to use often. And it doesn't have to be a shelf. You can just use a hanger and put a basket on that hanger. So it doesn't have to be hard where you have to put up shelving units. But if you do, you would put up some type of shelving unit, and you can use bins, and you can use storage baskets, or you can use, in this case, there's a little box there that we use to put medication in, because we don't want them to be cluttered and seen all over the house. And so we have one designated area for vitamins and medication that we go to often. So I would recommend you using some storage solutions. And they could be recycled. You don't need to go and buy a fancy storage solution. You can just reuse a box, or you can reuse a dish or a bowl that's pretty, and it's somewhere that you can kind of just drop some stuff up and put it in one area. Creating a drop zone. Here's another area that I see is the front door. A lot of times people have clutter right by the front door, and they rarely have an item that can be a drop zone. And I feel like every front door should have a drop zone. And it could easily be something that you have in your house already, like a little nightstand. In this case, is a little nightstand that we put baskets right by the door. So you can drop off your keys and open it up, the little basket, and drop off your keys, your sunglasses, or put your shoes in the bottom one. It's really simple solution, but you could also just have a basket there, a nice wicker basket, or you can have some kind of shelf with a basket on it. It doesn't have to be something fancy. It could just be something that you repurpose from your house somewhere else. Another area is labeling. People always are asking me, oh, well, I want a label, but I don't have a label maker, or I don't have beautiful acrylic labels that an organizer would have. And I always say, you don't need to have beautiful acrylic labels, or you don't need to have a label maker. I say, make a label with paper or tape and just put it on there and write on it. It'll help you maintain an organized space. It'll make things easier to locate, and you're more likely to get rid of clutter if you have a spot where it's labeled. And I like to color coordinate. I think that it's a lot easier, mostly for people who are more need to see things visually. Color coordinating really helps with that. Or if you have a visual impairment, color coordinating is really good. So I always recommend color coordinating. But label, don't leave it empty. Another area people ask me about decluttering is photos. And a lot of times they think they need to have a really expensive digital scanner, or they have to turn in their legacy box or whatever they have heard of online of where to put your photos. You don't need to do that. There's free apps on your phone that you can just take a picture and you can preserve your photo in that area. But if it's too overwhelming to do the scanning, one area I recommend is that you get your photos and you at least sort them and get rid of the negatives, or get rid of duplicates, or get rid of just downsize it by sorting them a little bit. I don't just scan my pictures. One thing that I do to help me organize my paper clutter is mail. Even if it's a flyer or a restaurant, or just something that I feel is important that comes in the mail, I will take a picture and I will literally send it to myself by email. I will email it to myself, or I'll add it to my calendar if it's something I want to have on the calendar as a date. This can go for a little note that someone might, like a love note that someone might send you, or a card. You don't need to save those. You can take a picture of them and you can email them to yourself, and you could have them forever. I make donations routine. It's not something that I just do once in a while. It's something that I do constantly. I have a weekly donation box that I keep by my back door, and I constantly am filling the donation box up. And one thing that I do when I meet clients is I recommend that we schedule a donation pickup. There are donation places, they're like the ARC or the VBA, who will come to your house and pick up your donations. So you don't need to drop them off at a thrift store or a charity. If that's too much work for you, you don't have to do that. But you certainly could do both. I do both. I have a box in my car that I have donations in right now that I will probably swing by the ARC and drop them off. But you can schedule that, so it's not something that you have to go and do. I like to when I meet clients, a lot of times there's areas that they struggle in. And so we do a quick, I call it a game, or I call it memory treasure hunt, because memories is an area that people really struggle with clutter and downsizing. They don't want to downsize items because they hold sentimental value. And I'm very familiar with this because I have kids and they give me gifts, and as this picture shows, I can show you my coffee mugs. Everyone knows that I love coffee. And so for some reason, I get gifted coffee mugs a lot. And I don't know if any of you could relate to this, but I have too many. And as you can see, that first coffee cup there is something that my son made that's a little bear. And it's totally not usable, but I have it still. And instead of putting it in my cabinet to use for coffee, I use it as a pen holder because it means a lot to me, but I don't want it clogging up my lit space. And so I use it to hold pens. And then my second one is pictures that a coffee mug was made. And that's one that I like to use all the time. But the third one is just a gift that someone gave me. It's too big. I don't use it. So what I would recommend for a game is to pick out a few things that you have hold memories, but talk about them and make a decision together with someone else on how to get rid of that item. So like the coffee mug that I don't use, that's too big, I would donate, and because I don't use it and I don't need it, and it really doesn't hold any significant value or joy for me. And so that would be a decision together we would make to donate that. And then the fourth cup is a coffee cup that was given to me by my grandma, which I want to keep. And so I would put the two that mean a lot to me back in and the other two I would do something else with. And so that's an easy way to declutter, is by kind of making it a game and kind of sharing the memory with someone else and having someone else help me make those decisions. And we talk through it. And yeah, we share the brief story and we share the memory, and then we can move on. So basically, what I mean by memories and decluttering items when it comes to memories is that when you share these meaningful stories with someone, it allows you to declutter without losing the memory because you're sharing it with someone else. And so I encourage you to find creative ways to share those memories with, whether it be a professional like me, or maybe a family member or a grandchild or a sibling. But there's also support groups out there. There are events like this where you can come together and ask questions and share your thoughts and share your memories. There's events at libraries, there's decluttering workshops, there's seminars that are out there that are free for people to gather, where you can share your common trouble places and talk about them and come up with solutions. And there are options for you to be able to share those memories and also help you declutter and give you suggestions on how to declutter. So I think that there is someone in the chat asking questions. I don't know. Oh, no, never mind.
No, we don't. There are no questions. I just posted another place that people could look, and another way of sharing your memories about your stuff. That's all.
Oh,
It's on our website.
There's a lot of creative ways. And when I come into a home, we find creative ways to work through your clutter and find creative ways to downsize, because every client and every person is different, and what it means to them is different than what it might mean to me. So I think it's about finding what your individual needs are and working in one area to find a solution at one step at a time and not the big picture.
Right. Well, thank you so much, Amy. That was really helpful. You had a lot of great ideas. You know, one of the things we have this rule that we don't always follow in our house. You know, one item in, one item out, and you know, sometimes that works. So I'd like to move on here and introduce our next speaker, who is Marc Agins. Marc, together with his wife, Jelena, are the owners of Grasons of Southwest Denver. They got into the business 5 years ago because of passion for antiques, collectibles, and actually the thrill of the hunt. I'm seeing a chat here that says audio is not working. Does anybody else have an issue with audio?
Can hear
No,
you just
okay.
fine, Bob.
Okay, I'm going to continue then. And the two best parts of their work lie in helping families through life's transitions and discovering hidden treasures. And they have two amazing teenage daughters that make up the rest of the team every Saturday. So with that, I'm going to turn this over to Marc. Go ahead, Marc.
Appreciate that, Bob. So, as Bob said, my name is Marc Agins. I am the president of Grasons of Southwest Denver. Listening to your presentation, Amy, I was surprised to hear some parallels between your philosophies and what you do and what we do. So one of the things that we talk about with our clients as an estate sale business all the time is keep the memories, not the material stuff. The material stuff clutters your house. So keep the memories; those are important, but get rid of the stuff that you just don't use or need. And then our philosophy as a business is to repurpose, reuse, and recycle. And you certainly hit on those in your presentation as well. I can't tell you the number of times we'll sell a picture where the person doesn't want the picture, they want the frame. Or we will sell an item that I will ask that person, hey, what are you planning on doing with that? And they'll say, oh, I'm going to transform it into this. I take old clothing and make pillows, or I take old linens and I turn them into bags for the homeless. So yes, very much of the mindset of recycling, reusing, repurposing. So to give you guys a little background, so Grasons as a company is a nationwide franchise. We're the only nationwide estate sale franchise. We have about 50 locations in 24 states. This map is old. You will find I do not like reading slides. I know that you're all capable readers, so I'm not going to read the stuff there. But yeah, so Grayson's is the largest nationwide franchise. They have been helping folks all across the country since 2011. We do estate sales, we do downsizing sales, etc. So I know you all can't respond to me, but how many of you have seen this kind of situation? If you've lived in a home for 10, 20, 30, you're going to, in most cases, this is what you're going to find. And we see this almost on a daily basis. I laugh because, some are better, some are worse. These are good examples of what a bad one looks like. Lots of hoarder houses. Now, when you have a situation like that, there's really 3 to 4 choices. So the traditional is, hey, I'm just going to live with this junk. I've created this monster. I can't get rid of the monster. So I'm just going to live with it. Okay. And that's a legitimate answer. For some people, the option is to rent a roll-off dumpster that they put on your driveway. But the problem with that is you still have to physically take all of the stuff out of your house and put it into a roll-off dumpster, which is a lot of manual labor. And for a lot of people, not only do they not want to spend the cost on the roll-off, but they also don't want to do the physical labor of removing those items from the home. So the third option that's pretty traditional is to hire a haul away or trash company. Now, this can get very expensive, $3, $4, $5, $6,000. And who wants to spend that kind of money for throwing away stuff? I mean, there's enough stuff that goes to the landfill already, right? So we believe the better solution is to hire Grasons of Southwest Denver to hold either an estate sale or a downsizing sale. And there are some pretty key differentiators for what we do compared to our competitors. So we are a turnkey solution right from the beginning, right to the end. We're in and out in 6 days. So we begin on a Monday with staging, organizing, and pricing your items. So Monday through Wednesday is that process. And then Thursday, Friday, and Saturday is the actual sale process, is the actual sale itself. We communicate with you daily. And this is one of the things that we've heard year after year after year that people get frustrated with. You turn your home over to an estate sale company and then you don't hear from them for 5, 6 days. We actually communicate every single day where we're in the process, how much money we've earned, etc. We do offer a free in-home consultation, and we're really there for a couple of reasons. One, we want to make sure that there's enough stuff that warrants an estate sale, obviously, but we really want to set the expectations with our client. We have walked into homes where the client's expectations were unrealistic, and we have to reel that back a little bit and make sure that we're all on the same page. The last thing we'd want to do is to not hit an expectation. A key contributor here, or a key thing, no out-of-pocket cost for you whatsoever. Our current cost is a 40-60 split, 60% in your favor of the proceeds from the sale. So if we generate approximately $10,000 in revenue from the sale, you're going to make $6,000. We do not have a minimum guarantee, and this is one I really want you to walk away from. All of our competitors here in Denver require a minimum guarantee, meaning that they will ask you to sign an agreement stating that regardless of the results of the sale, we're entitled to X. X can be as low as 2,000, as high as 4,000, averages around 3,500. We do not require this guarantee. We do not require the guarantee because A, we question what motivates someone to actually market and conduct a sale appropriately once they know they're getting paid already. But we take that risk right alongside of you. Some sales are great, some sales are okay, some sales are bad, but regardless, you and I, we're on that same road together. We're not guaranteed anything. We do provide you with an itemized list of everything that's sold and what it's sold for, so that you have some transparency in what was sold at your estate sale. We are fully insured and bonded, and this is critical. So when you invite an estate sale company into your home, if God forbid someone was to fall down your stairs, or if when they're carrying stuff out of your home, they break something in your home, if you're not working with an insured provider, you are liable for those things. So make sure that you look at the declarations page of their insurance policy. Same thing with theft. There is theft that occurs in estate sales. We carry a $25,000 bond against theft. I do encourage you, again, to ask to see the declarations page to make sure that if items are stolen out of your home, you're able to recover those funds. We do accept cash, credit card, and Apple Pay. I know that sounds a little odd, but again, the vast majority of our competitors do not accept cash. And then, of course, time for questions. I think we're going to do that at the end. So I'm just going to pop this up here. Here's all my contact information. I'd love to chat with you and address your questions individually. You can connect with us on Facebook, LinkedIn, or Instagram. And if you are tech savvy, just take a snapshot of that QR code and you will have all of our contact information.
Okay, Mark. So we have a couple of minutes here. I'm just going to read off a couple of questions that came in through the chat. Can you offer a estate sale for someone who is still living in their home?
It is a bit of a challenge. So you can spend the evening in the home, but during the day you would need to find a place to be, let's say from 8 a.m. to 4 p.m. We do that for two reasons. The first, our physical safety. I know that sounds a little loopy, but we have actually had a handgun pulled on our team because someone was upset and had a screw loose. So for our team's safety, we don't allow clients in the home. And then we also, as I'm sure you can imagine, people have a great deal of emotional connection to their items. And even though they say, hey, we want to liquidate, move away, move on, transition from, when you start seeing people pricing your items, or you see complete strangers in your home taking your items out of your home, that can be a very, very emotional experience. So while you don't need to get a hotel room for the week, while we are in the home staging, pricing, and actually conducting the sale, yes, we do require that you're out of the home.
And would you put, the last slide you had, Mark, was all your contact info. Could you copy that and put that into the chat, please?
Sure, absolutely. Yeah. That wouldn't be a problem at all.
Okay. Thank you. And one last question, and then we'll move on, is What if you live in a community? I assume that might be an HOA that does not allow estate sales.
So
How
if
does that
you
work?
if your HOA will not allow an in-person estate sale, I would encourage you to inquire if they will allow an online estate sale. So we do the same thing that we do in person, but we do it online. We photograph and catalog all those items, and we conduct that sale online. Now, the one caveat is once someone has purchased something, they still have to come and pick it up. So most HOAs, they'll say, okay, we don't allow in-person estate sales. We don't allow garage sales, yard sales. But hey, there's going to be a 3-hour period on this Saturday where 50 people are going to be coming into the community to grab the items that they purchased online. Most of them are pretty flexible about that.
Okay, thank you, Mark. Okay, our next speaker is Jill Yasskin, and Jill is a distinguished realtor. Her profession for the last 14 years, 7 of which while holding the senior real estate specialist and certified probate real estate specialist designations. These are credentials that underscore her expertise in addressing the unique needs of seniors and navigating the complexities of probate real estate transactions. She's a dedicated, compassionate real estate professional and has 17 years of healthcare experience on top of her real estate experience, and a valuable advisor to anyone, especially older adults and families going through probate processes. And Jill will put her contact information in the chat, I'm sure. But Jill, it's your turn. So we're looking forward to hearing what you have to say. Thank you.
Great. Thanks so much, Bob, for the nice intro, and thank you for inviting me on the webinar. And I speak generally about real estate. It's my passion. It's very interesting because there's so many people that know a realtor or know of a realtor, that the joke is, 10 and 5 of them are your relatives. It's my joke. So, but I pursued the SRES designation as well as the certified probate specialist as well, because I always run into delicate situations. And so there's not a lot of realtors that have those designations. The working with the senior population, there's only like 30,000 in the nation that have the SRES. And so it's a great credential that I feel sets me apart. And also, as Bob mentioned, my healthcare experience, I've had several years of being in the healthcare industry. So I know more about what people are going through and the delicate situation that I encounter when I have a real estate transaction. So just tell you a little bit how I operate and what I do. I basically become a project manager for a lot of my clients because they need a lot of hand holding. They need extra help. And that's where what I do is I don't mind the extra help. I don't mind going over there on a daily basis and helping with the things that they need, because sometimes the experience takes a very long time. The transactions could be not just 3 months, but more like 6 months to 12 months. So I kind of become the project manager, and I refer my clients to a lot of experts, just like Amy and Mark. Those people are in my network of referral base. It's very important that you have trusted professionals. That's why I'm so glad you record the webinars. We have, I mean, our industry is small, but our reputation, you have a good reputation. So it goes a long way when you're referring your trusted professionals. So that could be anywhere from like downsizers like Amy, the people that help with the clutter, and then financial planners, elder law attorneys, painters, carpenters, gosh, landscapers. There's a lot of referrals that I have in my network, and I'm grateful for them. So I use that a lot. I kind of play a key role in helping with the entire family. All the key players, not just the person that is on the deed, but also, you know, several members of the family, whether they be out of state or in state. I dealt with one seller who was completely out of state for the entire transaction, and we had good communication. So it's good. I'm trusted in my industry, and that says a lot, right? For everybody who works with the senior population, it's important to be trusted. Gosh, what else? Bob did another couple webinars on the elder abuse. Unfortunately, that's getting so rampant in our industry. It's very scary. And it happens in the real estate industry as well. I just heard of this other syndication out of West Virginia. They are counterfeiting death certificates. And so then they'll go to court to put the death certificate and file it with the court, and then they name themselves the personal representative so they can buy the house out from underneath the person that really owns the house. It's very scary. There's a lot of bad actors in our world, and it just keeps becoming more rampant, and so it's pretty scary. So as a trusted realtor, you have to look out for these bad actors in our world and the bad people that come and try to take advantage of our vulnerable population.
So Jill, I
But
have a question for you, Jill. Since you're on this topic,
Yeah.
I've heard of situations where people go in and pay somebody's property taxes and become the owner of the property at the same time. Can you talk a little bit about that? Have you seen that happen?
Sure. So that's actually there are that's called a tax lien purchase. So the public record is people that have not paid their taxes, and it's unfortunately, I don't think there's any check and balance in that where it, like, for instance, if I didn't pay my property tax for, I don't know, 2 years, then somebody else could come in, pay my property tax, and they would be in first position. So they would own the first position. That doesn't mean they lose the house, but they would own, whoever would buy the house after that would have to pay this person off, whoever satisfied the tax lien. And sometimes they don't want to pay them off. They just want to take their property. Does that make
Okay.
sense? Yeah.
Yes, it does, and that's kind of exactly what I was thinking. Because that's another way of defrauding people out of their property. And Barbara had a question to you also. Do you help find the proper living accommodations? For example, a smaller house or apartment to a community that has independent living or long-term care or assisted care. So, you know, someone's moving out of their home and obviously they need another place to live. Do you get involved in those things too?
Yes, thanks so much for asking that, Barbara. Exactly. I'm also a certified placement and referral agent. And what that translates to is I help people find those next homes. I help them find and downsize independent living or assisted living. I help them with that. So that brings me to an example that I'd like to share. I got a referral from financial planner. And this woman was recently widowed, and she needed to sell her house within the 2 years so she can take advantage of the credit for capital gains, which when you're married, it's $500,000. So we were kind of on a timeline. So, and she had lived at her house for over 50 years. And it was a big, long transaction. So that's the first thing I did was we put her in the car and we went looking for where her next home's going to be. Sometimes that's easier said than done. In this particular case, she fell in love with this beautiful little patio home in a community that also had assisted living and memory care and skilled if she needed it. And so it was a great place for her. She fell in love with it, had a garage because she still drove. But unfortunately, there was a wait list. And so we put her on the wait list, and I checked back every month to see how things were going. And in the meantime, we pulled in all the experts, people like Amy, people like Marc, landscapers, painters. We had to clean the house. And it took a long time to clean out 50 years of memory. And so, but we did that. And eventually, I was able to sell the property within the deadline and worked closely with the financial planner to make sure all that was taken care of properly. And then she moved into her community, which she absolutely loves.
Okay, thanks, Jill.
Yeah, there's a lot of moving parts.
Yes, I can see that. There's been a lot of controversy lately too about you know, with real estate agents in general. I mean, I'm sure you're well aware. So
Yeah, so that has to do with the commission. So thanks for bringing that up. The commission is always negotiable. I mean, I make a living doing this, and it's more about the client and less about the commission in the way I work. So it's a lot of money that goes out the door for an agent, but we are worthwhile. But the it's always negotiable, so I never really charge my full commission just because not everybody likes, everybody likes a deal, and I always make sure I give a discount, especially if I'm working on helping people find their next home in like if it's either independent living or assisted living as well. So it's always negotiable, and I always recommend to do business with someone someone you trust, and not everybody has the expertise, and just making sure you vet each agent. Like I said, there's a lot of bad actors out there, and it's kind of scary. Our big bubble is over. We still have a shortage of housing. Hopefully, the interest rates will come down a little bit so we can get the buyers into more homes. But it's a big problem in the Denver metro area, as you know.
yes, I do know. And one thing I would throw in here is, for all of our presenters and anybody who's on our website, actually, is that we talked to several of the service providers that we have, and many of them are using the fact that they're on our website as a marketing tool to say, oh, well, we've been vetted by AgeWise Colorado, and it's kind of like in some way, it's like, there used to be this good housekeeping seal of approval. So it's kind of similar to that. I'm going to open this up now to folks who might have questions that they would like to ask. We have a few minutes. So does anybody have any questions for any of our presenters?
Question for Marc real quick. What is your timeline looking like in terms of your availability?
I can run 2 sales consecutively in a week. So right now I have availability at the end of March, April, and May.
Any other questions? Okay, hearing none. So all of our presenters have put their contact information into the chat. So if you want to be in touch with any of them, you can do it through what they put in the chat, or you can do it from our website. They're all 3 of them are on our website as well. So I want to thank each and every one of our presenters and all of you who attended today. And I always learn something every time we do one of these. So today was no exception. So thanks again, folks, and have a great rest of your day.
Thank you,
All right.
Bob.
Bye-bye.
Thank you.
Bye.